What's going on, everybody? Welcome to another episode of In the Longhouse with Beard of the North. Hope you're all having a good Friday night. Hope it's a good one. Uh-oh. Well, I had my guest, and I don't know what happened, but
Glitch.
here we go.
Yep, sorry about that.
Did you go to click out and see a message or something?
No, man, I thought I hit the chat where I could see people talking. It won't let me do it.
Yeah, when you're on your phone and you're on StreamYard, it won't show you the chat unless you bring up the chat on there, and then you can't see anything else.
That's all right. I mean, we're in the process of getting a YouTube studio built inside the facility that we got. So hopefully that'll be up soon.
Okay. Well, then there you go. So, as I was going to say, everybody welcome Adam Shade Carpenter.
What's up, everybody? How you doing?
How are you doing tonight, sir?
I'm doing great, man. Happy to be here. I appreciate the invite, man. It's an honor. I appreciate it.
No
I'm real excited about it. Yeah.
First thing first, you have a Southern accent.
I've been told that a lot.
And that was very unexpected. So, where are you from?
I was born and raised in the mountains of West Virginia. Then I've been in North Carolina since 1995.
Since 95. And that still hasn't left you.
Nope. But, I mean, a lot of people from North Carolina talk this way. West Virginia and North Carolina is not much difference in accent.
That's very true. There was a girl I knew way back that she was from West Virginia, and she was up in Minnesota for quite a while, so she kind of lost it for a little bit. Then she went back down for a few years, and then she came back up here again, and it was heavy, thick. So I get it. It can fluctuate depending on your demographic, I guess.
Yeah. My wife, she's real worse.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, she's really got a twang to it.
You'd be surprised how much yours is too, though.
Well, I've listened to myself before. I mean, I was a big guy. I fought stage 4 cancer, so I lost like almost 200 pounds. And I had a big, deep voice. So after that, my voice sounds kind of like a pussy almost. But that's all right. It works. At least I'm alive, you know?
Oh, that's very true. We can get into that. Should we say hi to some of the people here? How you doing, Mark?
What's up, Mark?
Ellie. How are you doing, Ellie? Fuck you, Mark. Ward Nichols. You're new here. Good to see you, sir. Thanks for stopping in. Mr. Gary Lewis. How you doing, sir?
Gary.
Oh, and then we got good old Corey. How are you doing, sir?
What's up, Corey?
And Mr. Dad Joke, Chris.
Chris.
How are you, sir? So, this is my first interaction really with you fully. We've had a couple conversations via text on Instagram a couple of times, but this is my first getting to know you. So that's what this is going to kind of be. Is I've never seen you on another live stream. Have you ever done another one?
No, this is my first.
This is your first. Oh, yes. I get to pop the cherry. What a good one to do it.
Yep.
So, how did you find yourself in this little niche beard world, whatever you want to fucking call it?
Well, I had a beard before cancer. It was pretty long. I didn't really know much about beard care. Then after all my hair fell out and after I started getting to the end of the treatment after a few years, I started growing it back, and I was looking for how to take care of your beard because I always had split ends in it before. And I found someone, little old company, and it really, I thought it was good, but then I said, man, it's got to be something else out there. Then I seen these commercials for Live Bearded everywhere. They were always on YouTube. So I said, well, let me try that. Well, I mean, compared to what I was using, I thought it was amazing. Then it sent me on this journey of trying to learn more about it. Then I ended up finding Dan C's channel. Then, well, I mean, I got hooked. I mean, still this day, I still go searching for videos that I haven't seen.
Yeah.
And I try to educate myself a lot. Then I really wanted to open up a beard business, so I tried to learn from it. I rushed out to a company here in North Carolina. I was kind of shot down. I was like, well, all right, nobody's wanting to help me out, you know. And so I kept listening to Dan and trying to learn all that I could. Then I started watching all of his carrier oils and learning about every carrier oil, about what they do. Then I was like, all right. Then about right when Alley Cat first opened, you know, he was on a live and I told him that I wanted to get into the beard business, you know. And so he said, oh, Ifra's going to be up your ass, you know. You kind of come off a little hard at first. I was thinking, that dude's an asshole, but, you know. But then he was like, he was pretty cool, you know. So he helped me out a lot, gave me some tips. Of course, Dan's helped me out a lot. There was a couple things on like shipping and stuff, and Chris from True North has helped me with, so that was a big help. And after that, I really studied different carrier oils and put out a scent page, do different things, and I ran it past Gary at the time, Dan, a few people. Then so I ordered 12 gallons of it, cold pressed oils, and spent a bunch of money. And everybody's like, dude, you're crazy, you know? And I was like, man, I got faith. And it turned out to be pretty good. I think it's great.
Good.
Yeah.
And so for anybody that doesn't know, I was a victim of this. The name of his company is American Classic, right?
American Classic Beard Co. Yep.
American Classic Beard Co. Being in this for quite a while, I took it as just another random beard company that followed me. I didn't really think anything of it. And there wasn't much following to it. He wasn't following much people. He only had 2 posts on there, and I was kind of like, yep, another one.
I literally started it like a few weeks ago, and so I'm working on the rest of the labels now. So when I get more stuff, I'll start pushing it.
Yeah,
a lot more.
Yeah, because when you told me the name, I was like, fuck, now I feel like a dick. Because I kind of wrote it off as just another.
I laughed about it, bro. I thought it was funny.
And I am not normally like that, but I've had a lot of like companies follow me, and then a couple weeks later, all of a sudden, that username is no longer found. So I stopped like following every single one of them back and everything, and then I know I had overheard, I think it was during a Dan C live stream about you starting your own company.
Mm-hmm.
And that was about all I heard, was that you were possibly going to be starting one, or you were going to start one. So then you and I kind of chit-chatted about that a little bit, and it was, what's the name of it? Oh, shit.
No, I really wanted to do something, man. I mean, where the cancer started deteriorating my spine when what's up, Chris?
How you doing, Chris?
I've been a tattoo artist for almost 33 years. And so that's all I did, you know, and it took a toll on my back after all the treatment and the cancer. So if I tattoo for long periods of time, I'm usually in pain afterwards because my spine was starting to deteriorate a little bit.
Yeah.
I didn't even know it, but they found it in, routine CT scans. So I was like, well, tattooing's done very well for me in my career. So I was like, I'm going for this all. I'm swinging for the fences, man. I'm going all out for it. I'm not going to be a fly-by-night beard company and fall off.
Right.
I'm going to stay here, hopefully that I can people love the stuff. And, I sent an unscented bottle to Dan C. Gary because of his help. I'm going to send some out to Chris at True North. And of course, we're already now scenting everything. We got a 6,000 square foot facility that we bought. And so we were thinking, and Gary made a joke when he saw the beginning of the build. He's like, my gosh, man, how much stuff you planning on selling? I said, I'm not thinking about this year. I'm thinking for years down the road.
I'm thinking for the long haul.
Yeah,
I get that. How you doing, Aldemir? Good to see you, sir. I know Gary put this here is been helping you since day one.
Thanks, Gary. I appreciate it.
You got a lot of support in here. There's a lot of people saying how they're waiting for the launch. Fuck you, Vato. Yeah, because Corey's I've got 2,400 square foot warehouse and he only uses 400 of it.
Well, I'm going to try to eventually get to the point where I'm not going to take none of the money from the business. I'm going to just keep putting it back into the business because I've done well in tattooing and I just want to continually to grow it and grow it and grow it.
And I think that's kind of the business model for a lot of the guys when they first start out too, is any money they make off of it, they just put it right back in. And
yeah, I don't really need the money right now. I mean, I just want to leave a good future, for my kid and have something really going and hopefully deliver people some amazing products.
And I mean, when you start a beard care business, that's all you want. It's just to put out a good product and hopefully everybody gets on board with it and likes it. Yes, Vato is still wrenchless. He will be wrenchless until I figure out how to give wrenches. So, racist, Vato. Really? You really going to call me racist? You fucking prick. I'm anything but racist. I treat everybody as shitty as I do anybody else.
I've seen that on live streams before. I can vouch for that.
Oh. What is this? Yeah, man, the way to grow would be sink every dollar of profit into it. So, you say you were a tattoo artist for 33. You still do it, right?
Yeah, not full time anymore. I just I own a few studios. I just took the chair of the studio I was in and filled it with another artist.
Okay.
And so now I'll just work who I want to, when I want to. And
when
so I've been, when I wanted to do it. I mean, I love tattooing. I will always do it. It's just a part of my life.
Right.
You'll see some of that and on a few different bottles and, butters and things too. I incorporated a couple scents from the tattoo world.
Okay, that's pretty cool.
Yeah. I mean, and it's got tattoo art on it. So it's just been part of my life. I try to be a little different than everybody. I mean, that's really hard to do as many companies are out there.
Yeah.
As far as the look, and I was like, well, I mean, Fable had the artwork down, telling a story. I didn't want to go that route. I just wanted to be like everything that I was into in life, hot rod cars, motorcycles, tattoos, just,
right.
Feature stuff like that,
The American badass.
Pretty much, yeah.
How you doing, Garrett? Glad you stopped in to say hi, man. I know you got to work at fucking 2 a.m, so
that's
stopped in. Oh, you're gonna finish Gary's sleeve, huh?
Yeah, it'd be a job. He's got some garbage on him, man. And he thinks it's good. So, I mean, I'm not going to, well, I guess I did just tell him to his face. It was garbage. So,
yeah. How you doing, Scott? Thanks for stopping in, man. So over your career of being a tattoo artist, you've seen pretty much anything and everything.
Yes, extremely.
And
I'll cover it.
what would you say would be the weird? I know that the guy that did all my tattoos, he was one of my best friends. He used to tell me stories, some of the shit that he did. I'm just doing a tattoo. That's all I got to think about. Doesn't matter where or what I'm doing it on. What is probably one of the craziest things you have done tattoo wise?
Well, I guess that depends on your definition of crazy. In the beginning of my career, I would pretty much do just about anything.
How you doing,
What's
Mike?
up, bro? I've had a lady, I did not do the tattoo, that really, so I knew something was physically wrong with her inside her mind, you know, because she came in and told me that she knew she was going to be brutally murdered and they wouldn't be able to identify her. So she wanted me to tattoo her social security number inside of her labia. And I'm like, do what? I never will forget that, you know, and I'm like, no, I didn't do it. But I mean, I never try to do anything too crazy. I mean, I just want to make things beautiful, you know. I just
Right.
I don't tattoo. Well, I mean, it just depends. Everybody can consider something offensive, but I mean, I don't go out of my ways and tattoo like swastikas, or unless they're got to do with like Viking heritage styles or
Right.
Hindu or something like that, but not like Hitler things, because I just don't want that negative advertisement coming from.
Right, because your art is your advertisement on other people's
Right.
faces. You know, I get how that goes. Have you ever had to tattoo a cock?
Yeah. In the beginning of my career, I did. It was, and the only reason why he was my best friend, and he's still a good friend of mine today. He was already sleeved out, covered tattoos, and I said, "Look, man, I'm not touching your dick, you know." And so he goes, "Well, give me the machine. You've tattooed me enough. I could do it." So he goes and he starts running this line, trying to do a heart. And he jacked it all up. He goes, "Dude, you can't let me walk around with my dick like this, you know?" I'm like, "You son of a bitch," you know. So I just grabbed it and fixed it real quick, but that was about it, really. I said, "Yeah, only because I love you, dude," you know.
Only my best friend will tattoo my cock.
Yeah. I mean, but I was laughing, and when he started to mess it up, he showed it to me. I was like, "Dude, that's on you, man." Then he's like, "Oh man, you can't let me walk around like this." I said, "Who's going to see it?" He goes, "Every girl I'm with every night." I'm like, "Dude, you got a problem." I said, "All right, here, I'll fix it." You know.
Oh, that's awesome.
It's pretty crazy.
My buddy used to share some stories with me too. And he's just like, you know, as an artist, people want what they want tattooed, and it's, yes, I could refuse, but at the same time, it's money out of my pocket, or you know, shit like that, or they'll tell me, you know, it's word of mouth, so people could say, yeah, he won't do certain things because he's a pussy, and you know, that shit like that. So I kind of figured you'd maybe have a good story or two.
That's probably about the craziest one. About that lady, I've had people come in want little novelty tattoos on the head of their penis or something, but I didn't really even get into that too much. I met some really one of the coolest tattoos that was really freaky that somebody asked me for was a Grim Reaper taking a shit on a toilet. I said, I got to do that, you know. I said that we can make that fun. But
how you doing, Russ? Thanks for stopping in, man.
But I was so heavily involved with the Alliance of Professional Tattoo Artists. I was featured in all these magazines. I mean, almost every month. So I didn't want to get too crazy, and I would talk young people out of from tattooing their face, their necks, their hands, because I didn't want to. I had morals. I didn't want to destroy their career or their life that they didn't even know what was going to happen to them later. I was like, man, you're too young, you know.
That's true. I know. I know my buddy talked me out of a couple of tattoos that I thought of when I was, 18, 19.
Yep,
And it's, are you sure you really want that? I really don't think you do. It's think about what's going to happen here in the future. In as little as 5 years from now, you're going to be like, why the fuck did I do this?
exactly.
Apparently Gary has an interesting tattoo.
I'll do it. But I'm looking forward to getting back on Dan's sleeve. We talked a lot and stuff, and the little whip background I did, he just asked for it to have some filler. But once I go back into that, it's going to be completely transformed and gone because I had a different background in my mind. But I didn't want him to leave. I didn't want to leave there without him feeling like, he got something.
Right.
But I mean, he gave me a tall order. I was like, all right, this is different, so we're going to rock it. But now from here, it's on downhill. So it'll be fun. I think it's supposed to be down on the 15th.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because that's supposed to be, it's going to be a full sleeve, the whole arm, right?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
How you doing, Mike? Good to see you, sir. Thanks for stopping
What's up,
in.
Mike? How you doing, brother?
What the hell is this, Ellie? One day an accountant comes home late and his wife asks, where you been? He replies,
It'd take a lot more than $100 from me to tattoo a penis.
Oh, Ellie. Oh, what's going on, Walter? How you doing, sir? Thanks for stopping in, man.
Hey, Walter, that's an amazing beard, bro.
Yes, you will get that every time, man. That fuck it. It almost looks fake, even. It looks so good.
It's pretty magnificent, really.
Oh, yeah. Some people. So you're you said, I don't want to go too, personal or anything, but
I'm an open book, man.
Stage 4, what type of cancer was it?
It was called clear cell carcinoma, basically in layman's terms, stage 4 kidney cancer.
Kidney cancer.
Yeah, I was in a bad accident. Well, I put it off. I thought I was stoved up, bike's trash. I was like, all right, cool. Then a cop, he gives me a ride to my house, and the next thing you know, I go urinate a bunch of blood, and I was like, well, maybe it's a kidney stone. Right. Well, my doctor has been my best friend for 20, 25 years. I've sleeved him out. So I called him. He said, man, you probably got internal bleeding. You need to go to the hospital. He goes, I was like, I'll be all right. Well, I went to the hospital. Well, they medevaced me to one downtown Charlotte. And I guess she came in and told me, well, I said, well, I'm getting ready to open up another business. She goes, well, you better get your affairs in order because you got cancer and it's bad. So they told me he was going to do a microscopical surgery on me for the internal bleeding. Well, apparently it lasted for 3 days because I lost 4.5 feet of intestines, 1.5 feet of colon, and apparently I died twice. And they didn't tell me this. My wife, my best friend, none of them told me the whole time I was in the hospital. I didn't find out till the day I got released. I was like,
what?
Really? Yeah. Then after that, I lost my kidney, my left kidney, 7 lymph nodes. And by that time, with all the chemo, it just really beat me up. And it's all the surgeries and stuff. And that's when I started couldn't eat. The smell of food would make me sick. And so I lived off a boost for like 7 months, and I just dropped away quick.
Man.
But they said they gave me 6 to 9 months to live when they first found it. So, and that's been almost 6 years ago.
Wow.
Yeah.
Congrats to you, sir.
No, I appreciate it.
I lost my dad to stage 4 squamous cell.
Yeah, that's a rough. Yeah, but I mean, I had a feeling for for a while that something was wrong. I'd go into the doctor, and he'd take my blood work. He said, "Man, there's nothing wrong with you." I was like, "Man, I just got a feeling something's wrong. My body just don't feel right." And all these doctors blew it off. Well, the only cancer that don't show up in your blood work was the cancer that I had.
Of course.
Yeah. And the only way they could find it is a CT.
On the off chance that you need one.
Right. If it wasn't for that accident, I mean, yeah, I would probably never knew it.
Right. Man. That's a trip down memory lane. Anyway,
well, I mean, be honest with you, man, this might sound crazy, but it was probably the best thing that ever happened to me because man, I was a real dick, I mean, I was riding in 1%er motorcycle clubs. I just lived life fast and hard. And I didn't take the time and just look at a beautiful tree and then just like, wow, man, that's amazing. So it really reeled me into reality and started thinking about how's this person's day going, or so it just made me a lot kinder and a lot more things. So I retired out of the motorcycle club, and I still ride, just don't wear no patches.
Yeah.
And so that was a big part of my life for a long time too. And but I mean, really, it just put me in a better perspective, in a better, kinder place, and just always think about. Used to somebody could be a jerk to me and I would be the first one to flip on them. But now I'm just thinking, man, they probably got something going on I don't know about, just let it roll.
So you would say that the whole ordeal humbled you in
Usually.
a huge way.
Yeah, usually. Yeah. It was probably for the best, because if I kept living the life I was going, I was already, I'd have been in prison or dead.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I'm grateful today. My wife knew me then. I mean, I remember when I met her, she came in my tattoo studio. I tattooed her and she was like, "Oh, you're in the club. I think that's sexy." I'm like, "Yeah, I bet you do, And,
Get on it, damn it.
and I was like, so we finally went out and she saw a property patch in my drawer. She goes, "Well, what is that?" So I kind of explained it to her. I said, "It's not really what you hear on like Gangland or none of this."
Right.
And she said, "Well, I want that." I said, "I never gave it to anybody. I ain't giving it to you." So it was about a year later. She aggravated me enough. I said, "All right."
Just to get you to shut the fuck up.
Yeah. Then I was like, I gave it to her. Then next thing you know, I started taking her around and stuff, and people didn't look at her like some girl I dated. They looked at her like a sister. But in return, if they needed something, they'd be like, "Hey, sis, can you get me this?" Or I'd be like at 4 o'clock in the morning, I'd come in a house with like 25 brothers from different states. And I'd be like, "Hey, babe, they're all hungry. Can you get up and cook them something to eat?" And at the time, I didn't see nothing wrong with that,
Right. Yeah.
But I mean, now when you look back at it now, I mean, that's a pretty prickish thing to do,
Yeah. You're like, God, that was a fucking dick thing.
Well, it was. And I mean, I'm surprised she even stayed with me, bro. I mean, but, I wasn't into, Jesus or anything of that in my life. She did. Of course, I just ignored it. I mean,
Right.
I was a pagan. And so I was like, hey, you do your thing, I'll do mine, But I'm sitting there thinking, right, But then later on, I mean, things changed. I was like, all right. I started listening to people's personalities, and then I started realizing, man, first I was thinking Odin and everybody, for my life, and I started realizing, man, I said, I don't know. I mean, As my pop. I tried to call him earlier and told him not to call, um, but I just, right now, man, I don't care what anybody does. I treat everybody with respect.
Yeah, I mean, that's yeah, it's kind of one of those things where it's you respect me, I respect you. We don't have to cross paths if we don't have to.
Right.
You
Yeah.
know, and that's why, like, when it comes to like political stuff or religious stuff or certain things like that, I don't bring them up here on the channel because it can be a very touchy subject sometimes. And
Yep. I agree.
it's I made the mistake of doing that on a different live stream with a now company owner that I'm affiliated with. That he's, Bay Area Matt for Biblical Beard.
Yeah.
He's he's not like a Bible banger, but he is fairly invested in his faith, and he was on Chris from TCTBNL's live stream, and I made the mistake of kind of, bringing up heathenism and stuff, and it kind of went back and forth a little bit, and he was kind of like, you know what, fuck you for asking this question, kind of thing. So I shouldn't have did that, and I apologized to him later and whatnot, and we talked about it, and now it's like his relationship and mine. It's like, I don't know how I would say it. It's like, you believe what you believe, I believe what I believe, and we can just agree to meet in the middle.
Well, you got to, man. I mean, life's too short to be crabby with people.
Exactly. I mean, I'm a very hateful and angry person the majority of the time, but I keep it to myself.
I used to be. Now I'm just like, whatever, I'm just glad to be here, look at life a little differently. So
yeah, I mean, with the experience you had, I can only imagine. I watched it with my dad when I was young. I had something called HSP, or Henoch Schoenlein purpura, that almost killed me. But it was one of those things that I think happened so early in my life that I never really took it as like a humbling experience, so to say. It was kind of I didn't understand the weight of it at the time. Like, I did not understand that I should have maybe probably died from it, but I didn't. So, later in life, you think about, you have shit like that happen to you, and it opens your eyes a lot to things.
Yeah, it does. I mean, looking back at a lot of young stuff that I've done where I've been hurt pretty bad, it could have killed me, but I didn't think about it then either. I was just like, yeah, look at that. I overcame it. Let's rock and roll,
Yep.
But, I mean, you get wiser when you get a little more experience under your belt. So,
yeah, I'm only 35. I like to say that I'm only 35 because then I don't think of it as
tomorrow you will be 40. It flies, bro.
And it only goes faster the older you get, and especially if you have kids.
I didn't have a kid until I was already fighting cancer. And I'm sitting there thinking, man, I could die from this anytime. Then they didn't know if I was going to see my kid born. And I went through all this stuff. He turned 4 on March 30th. I mean, I'm sitting there thinking, cool. I was like, damn, I was 41, getting ready to turn 42 when he was born. I'm like, if I do live through this, people's going to think I'm his grandpa at his graduation, But yeah, that's cool,
That's cool because my daughter turned 4 on March 20th.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah. But everybody was like, some of the guys that I work with in my shop, and they're like, shave that beard, you look older. And I'm like, man, shut up or I'll fire you. Just sit over a tattoo, And they just joke with me about it, so I mess with them back, And there's a few of them that's got nice beards, and some of them are hounding me all the time. Man, give me some of that stuff. I said, well, you can buy it.
You can buy
You
it,
make a lot of money.
Yeah. I know today I went to go get my daughter from daycare, and I had to stop at the gas station to get something. And I walked up to the counter, and there was a younger guy that was doing the checkout, and I put the water up, and he went to do my thing, and I was getting my wallet out, and he goes, I just got to say, the beard, the hair thing, man, it's epic. I just got to say it. And I was like, well, I thank you. I appreciate that. And he's like, yeah, I wish I could grow a beard. And he had a really good goatee, but you could see like he probably didn't grow very well on his cheeks. And at the time, I was like, I would stop and kind of bullshit with you a little bit about it, but there's people behind me. I got to get my daughter. Pretty sure that my tire is going to go flat as it's sitting there. So, but sometimes you don't hear that stuff, and I don't take compliments all that well. So.
Yeah, I mean, I get what you're saying. I'd be on a convention circuit, and I was supposed to be this year. I was supposed to have been going completely every weekend. Then I booked it last year, so I started canceling shows and calling up the guy, the producer, that launches all these shows. So look, man, I'm not gonna make it. I'm done. And he's like, really? He goes, and I was like, yeah, bro. I was like, I'm starting a beard company, and I'm gonna put all my focus in that. I said, plus my back kills me, and it's brutal being on the road. And I mean, sometimes it ain't bad. I mean, like when I tattooed Dan and Sam, my back didn't bother me at all. But some days it's just horrific. So
yeah, you have your good days, you have your bad days.
Yeah.
Do you end up having to take like a lot of painkillers, or?
No, don't take it. I didn't want. A friend of mine fell into that from a bad surgery, and they got him hooked on opiates.
Yeah.
And man, after I saw what he went through to get off, I was like, I don't even want them. They tried to give me, I mean, hardcore stuff like Oxycontin 30s and stuff. I was like, I don't need it.
Well, my dad was on full on morphine and shit. So,
I mean, if I was on the end of my road, but I believed in my heart I wasn't gonna die from it.
Yeah.
I mean, it was still in the back of your mind, but it just kind of didn't seem like I'm not leaving yet.
Right.
So I just like, no, I don't want it. So they keep filling them, and I just keep telling them, it's like, man, I got to throw these in the trash because I'm not gonna take them. And finally, they stopped writing them. They said, you're not in pain? I said, oh, I got my moments, but it's not nothing that. I was like, look, my whole body's tattooed, all right? I've been through some pain. I've been through a lot of things. It's like, this is uncomfortable, don't get me wrong, but I mean, it's not worth me popping stuff where I'm blissed out of my mind,
Right, yeah.
Yeah, I don't do anything anymore. I mean, when I was young, man, I would drink. I'd make a lot of mead. I was a drinker. I dabbled in things, but now I don't really do much anything. Of course, I got one kidney, so
yeah, it would make it a little difficult to keep up a habit if you had a habit. Kind of thing.
Right? Yeah, I mean, I was full tilt boogie when I was younger, man. I just thought, but I mean, it was kind of life that I grew up around. My dad was a biker. We lived way back, and he was the president of the club, and I watched him get raided when I was like 14, and I'm like, man, what is going on, And,
yeah.
And the thing is, he didn't even do anything except being a national president of a ball. So the next day they printed in the paper like 1,967 marijuana plants found on Sunday, only rest. one arrest, my father, but they weren't even his. They didn't tell you that the plants was in the next county over. You know, they searched his house, didn't find nothing, arrested him anyway, spit on him. I watched all this, but he was doing okay for himself. But that's when he actually beat the feds in a case and sued them for $14 million and won. My grandpa got a couple million out of that. My stepmom got a couple million out of that. My dad got 14 million out of that. So what he did, he retired from the club right there and opened up all these businesses and made a lot more money.
And then had the big old fuck you.
Oh, yeah, he still does it, you know, when he sees the feds, and they don't say nothing to him, you know. They're like, yeah, leave that dude alone.
That would be I would have a hard time not walking around just being like, piss on them. That's motherfuckers.
He still does it all these years afterwards. I mean, he's like 67 now, so he's still like, screw them bastards, you know.
They tried to pin me for shit, and look at what happened.
Well, I was down a couple of miles from his store. I just left there, and I got pulled over. I had, I don't know, probably $6,000-7,000 in my pocket, and this cop pulls me over, and I was like, all right. He was a state police officer there, and it was in the snow, and I had thousands of dollars worth of original artwork, and they were just tossing them out in the snow. I'm like, man, what are you doing? And the lady across the road knew me. She came out of her house, says, leave that boy alone. And so they searched the whole car, and I didn't give her permission, tore my door jambs off, and somebody called my dad. And boy, he came down there. They had my clothes off, you know, it was in the snow, ruined all my artwork. He goes, I already sued the daggone feds. He goes, I'll sue you, son of a bitches. And he goes, I won't sell you no more firearms. So he told him, and he got his attorney there, and he came over there, and they left. And I was like, well, you got to put my car back together first, you jerks, you know?
Right.
But now they fired all of them because he got them all fired because he takes care of all the schools and the police departments now. So they got them all fired. And now my brother, I thought this was pretty funny, which I got the utmost respect for police officers today. Most of them I've had an experience with have been really good to me here, and even back where I'm at home. But I was a 1%er. Then my brother became a cop. You know, I was like
the complete opposites.
I was like, how does that even work? You know, but my little brother I was 19 years old when my brother was born, so he don't remember seeing what I seen. I don't know if he knows about it or not. So I know he ain't watching this because he don't have YouTube, so I'm not worried about it.
What's going on, Travis? Thanks for stopping in, man. Well, yeah, you'd be surprised at how polar opposite siblings can be, no matter how close in age or how far apart. You can end up being like the spot on image same, or you can never know that you were even related.
We don't look related, but we act related. I mean, he still might be but he's still got that Irish, you know, temper, you know, and he still likes I mean, everybody's got a joke about us, you know. Well, because our original name, my grandpa got out of one war in Limerick and Ireland and came here and changed the name from McIntyre, that meant Carpenter, to Carpenter.
Carpenter.
Yeah, because of the IRA stuff that was going on at the time. And they came here to get American citizenship, and he wasn't even here a year. Then he was in Korea, you know.
Oh, man.
I was like, daggone, man. So
one more to go join another one.
Yeah, he just I was like, I've asked him about that one time, and he was like, I don't know what to say. It just ended up that way, but he goes, I'm just glad I'm alive, you know. So I was
Right.
like, okay.
Glad he
He was,
made it through it.
yeah, he was a good guy. He was an amazing person.
Hey,
He always was
hey,
funny.
how you doing, Tyson? Thanks for stopping in, man.
What's up, Tyson? That Sundance is great, by the way, man.
Oh, a little bit of a shout out there, Tyson. But yeah, that would suck. That would really fucking suck. Leave your homeland to get away from a war, to go through all the bullshit to change your name and all that stuff, to a year later that, hey, guess where you're going? You're going to a war for us now instead.
Pretty much.
Fuck.
But there's a lot of things that he told me, and he became a preacher. I mean, ever since I was little, that's all he did. And all right, no problem, brother. So he would tell me these stories on about how things was in Ireland and how bad it was, and still to this day, my grandmother asked me when I was going to marry my wife, "Is she Irish?" I was like, no, she's, well, maybe a little bit, but mostly English. And she goes, "You're marrying a Brit?" I was like, look, she's from Ireland too. And when she gets mad, I was like, she's fine. But now she loves my wife, so it's cool.
A little bit of that.
And it still goes on today. Even over there, I mean, I got a dual citizenship, so we got a house over there. So, but because I was raised here, they call me a Yank, but they do it to mess with me. And I remember when I first got off the plane there about 28 years ago, my cousin picked me up, and I didn't learn their lingo yet, and he goes, "Hey lad, do you want me to stop for some fags or what?" I was like, "No, man, I'm good. I'm straight."
I don't swing that way.
And he goes, "Yeah, Yanks call them cigarettes." It's like, man, I don't smoke, And he's like, he goes, then he's like,
"Oh, I'm sorry."
I was like, I said nothing against them or whatever you're into, And I felt like an idiot because but we had a good laugh about it later,
That is funny.
I was like, what in the world? He goes, yeah, bloody Yanks calls them cigarettes. And I was like, oh, no, I'm good with those too, man. I was like, that was the most brain fart, stupidest moment I ever had,
Oh man, I'm gonna think about that, and it's gonna just make me laugh.
Dude, I felt like such an idiot. But they were picking on me later, laughing about it, having a good time, and it was okay. I rolled with it, it was funny.
Well, that's all you can do.
And I was like, because I thought he was gay, and I didn't want to hurt his feelings, I was like, well, I didn't know that, man. I was sitting there thinking,
Right.
Well, the last time I was there was a year and a half ago. I was supposed to went back about a year ago. But my son had some heart problems, so we didn't go at the time. As soon as this company gets going, there's my cousin. Now, he started a beer company in Ireland, but it ain't nothing like the American beer companies at all.
I think they have a lot more stricter rules over there, from what I understand.
Well, I mean, their carrier oils are pretty basic.
Yeah. What's going on, James?
What's up, James? And I mean, they're really not that great. I mean, it'll get you by. It's better than nothing, you know. I would put it a step below. I mean, Honest Amish is better than their stuff, you know. So
Right. And Honest Amish is good.
it's great, you know, for especially for something that you could buy off the shelf at Walmart, you know.
Right.
I still buy it once in a while just to use it. Dig up her bones. I like Michael Gray's better. I'm sorry, but that's a big debate.
Never was a big Misfits fan.
Man, I got such a range of music from speed metal to Misfits. Something about the Misfits when I first heard them, I was just like, that's crazy. That's cool. I listen to a lot of Irish bands. There's a lot of metal Irish bands a lot of people don't know about here in the States. So they're really, really good. But I mean, I got blessed with both cultures, you know. So, and one good thing about here, there is an Irish district downtown. It's really nice. So, and they serve authentic Irish food, and that's very hard to find at so-called a Irish pub
Right.
here. You know,
it's kind of like calling Chinese food here Chinese food.
Exactly.
I think this is Tara.
Thanks, brother or sister. Sorry.
I think. Thanks for stopping in. Appreciate it. Because I traced my heritage back. I always thought that my family was more German than anything, but I actually traced it back to being Scottish. We're Scottish and Irish mix.
Well, I mean, they're just an island over. I mean, you could take a ferry from Northern Ireland and be in Scotland in like an hour.
Yeah, I want to say it was my great grandmother on my mom's side was from Ireland. They were mix. They're McCarthy's, and a lot further down the line from on my dad's side were Scottish. So it was interesting to figure out.
Well, some of the rest of the family over there even changed their name to Carpenters, and today one of the most famous pubs in Ireland is our family's pub. It's called Carpenters. So I was like, why would you take an English surname? But they just went with it. But they are carpenters that was naturally native to Ireland. So it wasn't that common, but they was mostly around Wexford to.
I thought so.
Oh, thanks, Tara. To Dublin area, around in that small little group. And Ireland is just a little bit bigger than the state of West Virginia.
Yep. It's not very big.
No. But the weather's perfect. Because like the coldest temperature is maybe 40 degrees our time, our temperature in the winter, hottest it'll get 74, 75, in the summer.
See, I'd love that.
Yes,
I'd love
it's
that.
perfect.
Here in Minnesota, when it gets, 40 below on the regular during the winter and 90 and 100% humidity in the summer, it fucking sucks.
Man, a friend of mine just moved there last year, and to St. Paul, and I was like, and when she went from North Carolina to St. Paul, and I saw the photos of the snow, I was like, I thought West Virginia got a lot of snow, and they do at times, but I was like, whoa, that's crazy, because when she opened up her door, and I've seen that a few times in West Virginia as a kid, like it open up your door and you can't see out of it. You got to dig your way out in the mountains, but that's pretty rare. But Minnesota looks like they get hammered every year.
Yes, we do. It's fucking fantastic.
Yeah, I don't
And
mind the snow. It's just
Vato, this is bullshit. I know what you meant by this. Fuck you. Celtic Nova. I've never heard of that. I've heard of Celtic Frost. I've listened to them. But never Celtic Nova. And Mark, no, I will not wear no fucking kilt on the commission. I'm sorry. No.
nobody's going to see it.
Yeah, but I'm going to know I'm wearing it.
I could sit here butt naked right now, and you wouldn't know it except for my shirt on.
That is very true.
Yes, I got. I'm gonna start out with 10 cents. I got probably a handful that are clonish cents. Yes.
So, do you want to talk a little bit about what you got going on with that?
Sure.
So, you decided that you were going to get into a beard company. What'd you just say? 10 cents, you said?
I'm gonna start out with that.
Start out with 10?
Yeah.
Are you starting out where it's just the main line, those and butters and soaps, or are you going full blower?
I'm gonna start out with basically the oils, the butters, the balms, the wash, the conditioner. Then I'm looking for a company to. I might just hire somebody to come in and just do it, show us how to do it, triple milled the soap and our scents. Because, triple milled is still that could be all natural and it just lasts longer.
Right.
But I mean, I'm still researching that, I've talked to one guy online that said that he can match my scents. So I'm sending some scent profiles and telling him what I'm using, and he's going to try to match it up to get the smell as close as possible.
Cool. How long did it take you to get your blend down to what you wanted it to?
2 weeks.
2 weeks?
2 weeks.
I know some guys it takes 2 years.
Well, like I said, I've been watching Dan C and studied all his channels, different people's carrier oils, found out what each thing does. Then Gary came out with some exotic stuff that I never heard of. Then I'm like, man, what is this? So that kind of made me to go on a search a little bit. I didn't want to get too far out of the box, but I did want some different stuff in there. So I started reading what everything did. I'm like, oh. At first I was going to use a acai oil, seed oil, because nobody's ever done it.
Yeah, I've never heard of that.
And well, apparently it's really amazing. But when I got the sample, it was very fruity. I mean, it was very strong fruity. And I was scared that it would overpower the. So I used another fruit seed that come from the same family, but the smell was way leveled back. Same property, same feel. That way,
it's just the scent of it is toned back a lot.
Yes, but the same health properties to your face, for your beard and face.
Sometimes you got to find alternatives when something you think is going to work really well, and then all of a sudden it's like, holy shit, maybe not.
Yeah, it was pretty pungent, man. I mean, I did try it, and it felt amazing. But man, even if you could send it, I knew it might even come through. You would have to have some strong. It wouldn't even be. It wouldn't even be an IFRA standards. I mean, it had a real pungent smell.
I was just going to say, yeah, sure, you could scent it out, but you're going to go way past the IFRA guidelines and all that shit.
Yeah, so I just went with just a little different route. I'm open to the blend. I'm using squalene, metaphone, bacaba oil, Abyssinian seed oil. And let's see what else I got in there. daggone, I should have all this memorized. If somebody told me the other day, but now I'm on the spot. Um, let's see, I got metafoam, squalene, avocado, Abyssinian seed oil, and bacava seed oil. That's what I got in it.
Okay, that's a interesting blend.
It actually works pretty good.
Yeah. Are your butters going to be whipped or poured?
Oh no, they're going to be poured.
Poured.
Whipped butters is just something I don't want to deal with, and plus they melt too easy, and you can't get them back to the natural state. I just don't want to deal with it. I mean, the first company I used the whipped butter, and it was pretty good. But man, when it was set up, it was so hard. I'd have to literally work it for like 30 to 45 seconds just to try to get it to emulsify. And it was like work. So I'm just going to go with poured butters. I like them. It's easier to weigh it. It's easier to thin it.
Just easier all around to produce versus whipped.
Yes. I like poured butters better than whipped. I mean, from the ones that I've tried. I'm not a big whipped knowledge butter. I've only tried one, but it wasn't as soft as most people describe whipped butters.
Right. No, there's only been a handful of whipped butters that I've tried, and I prefer poured over whipped. I'm not saying whipped is bad.
Yeah, same.
From a consumer point of view, I guess I prefer the whipped or the poured over the whipped.
Me too. I've tried a couple. Well, one whipped. I'm like, but man, I mean, time it's set up, it was so hard. It wasn't light and fluffy at all. You really had to break it. I mean, I was like, daggone, man. So, but I mean, it made my beard soft. It felt good, but I said, man, there's got to be something better than some dude, out of his house making this stuff, out there. So that's when I went on a search. Then I found Dan Seed, and I was like, wow, man, I didn't even know this about my own beard, at the time. Then I've had some bad barbershop experiences in the last couple of years. I've lost a lot of beard to that.
What's going on, Kerry? How you doing, sir? Thanks for stopping in, man.
Yeah. There's another great company right there. There's a lot of great companies out there. I hope everybody could succeed, make a good living, and me too. My main thing is to be able to be respected amongst other beard product creators. And Dan, you, anybody else that really is into it, I just want people to like it, But Dan, I sent it to him. He said it felt great in his beard all day. He said first thought it was fabulous. So I took that as good.
Yeah, there you go. I mean, I can only imagine, because I'm not a creator or nothing, but I can only imagine that feeling of creating something and making it and then sending it to somebody or giving it to somebody or even, selling it, and the feedback for them to come back of, this is awesome. I really like this. I've never done anything to where I would ever experience that type of feeling, but I can imagine what it would be like.
Right. Yeah, it was a good feeling when I got Dan's, because I asked him a couple of days later. He goes, well, he said, it's great, but he goes, that's for now. So I asked him about a week or two later. I said, well, how'd it do for the rest of the day? He said, great. I said, so you think I should roll with it? He goes, absolutely. I said, awesome.
And then I'm rolling with it.
Yeah. I said, I hope so, after I dumped all this money in 12 gallons of it, But, I mean, if it would have took it, to where if I had to change it, I would have done it. No problem.
Right. Yeah, you got to take some of the criticism and, work with it and whatnot.
Gary said he loved it. He did say, I'm not going to say exactly what he said. He did say it was really, really good, but he said it wasn't better than Alley Cat, but he would put it there with it. Of course,
Of course, the creator of Alley Cat is going to say that, you know.
Well, I would too if it was mine, if somebody else said it to me. You know, I don't know, maybe not. Maybe I'd say, man, this blows my shit away. I mean, you know, it's just hard to say.
Oh, so you got any big plans for the weekend?
My grandmother has been in a hospital for a while, and I found out last night that she could go anytime. Okay. And so I'm gonna go up there and see her. I mean, she did live a long life, so as long as she goes smooth, you're supposed to be in your room. That's all that matters, as long as she don't suffer, you know.
Yeah, that's all you can ask for. Right?
Yeah, she lived a long life.
Is it an ailment of some sort, or is it just age?
Well, she's 90 years old. She found out that she had lung cancer. She never smoked a cigarette in her life. She ate everything off the farm, so it was always organic. But we don't know really. Maybe from old age, you know, your immune system goes down. So, I mean, heck, man, if I live to be 90 years old, I mean, that's a win.
I don't even want to live that long, to be honest.
I mean, if I could get around and not crepid, you know. But, I mean, my grandma's still sharp. She got around great but she decided she was going to do no treatment. And she asked me, and if you don't take no treatment, it's not going to make your last little bit of time worse. If you took treatment, she'd be just miserable. So at least, I mean, she went out for a year and a half, just going to Walmart, you know, doing shopping, just doing her own thing, still dolling up her hair. Then finally, she's just getting sicker and sicker. And she's got an infection in her lungs. They tried to get it, but they don't know what it is. So now they don't even expect her to make it out of the hospital. So I'm going to go up there. My son's got an ultrasound early in the morning. Then I'll be up there to see her, take him in there, because I named my son after my grandfather.
Okay.
And which was her husband. So, and that really teared her up when that happened. So I'm just going to go up there and spend a day with her and just because everybody else has been, except for me, and I've been so busy, but I didn't think it was that bad because I was expecting her to get out of the hospital from talking to my dad every day.
Right.
And he told me that last night. I said, I'll be up Saturday, you know.
So, yeah, so sometimes it's like, well, it doesn't matter what I had planned. If that's the case, then.
Well, I told him, I said, well, how's the Russian? And I said, I already planned to be on YouTube tomorrow. And he goes, well, I would do it maybe this weekend, you know, but I wouldn't put it off for a month or nothing. I was like, okay, cool.
Yeah. Yeah, it's some days or sometimes when you're in that situation, it's kind of one of those things where it's, you know, I'm just glad that they had a good life and it's not painful or uncomfortable. And
yeah, I mean, she's in no pain. So, I mean, the best way to go, of course, would be with no pain, you know, go to sleep, drift off. Yeah. Things are great. But I mean, everybody was like apologizing to me. And I'm like, well, man, she lived a long life. I mean, yeah. You know, I mean,
90 years is a long time.
Right. And, you know, my grandfather's was a lot younger, and that bothered me because we and him was real close, and I was close to my grandma too. But as when we got that diagnosis, I kind of accepted. I don't think she would have lived as long at her age if she would have took treatment. You know.
Right. Yeah.
So she had some time out of it. So she, you know, I mean, it'll be sad, but everybody can at least be happy that she lived a long life.
Yeah.
I mean, the chance of me living that age is like, it's not going to happen.
It's not going to happen.
Yeah.
No, yeah. And you know, I had a great grandmother lived to 106,
Well, that's amazing.
and all I can think of is I hope that if by some whatever fucking chance, if I ever make it that long, that I still have my mind, you know, and at least be able to get up and walk around, because I know the last few years of her life was spent in a bed. And, you know, I had a grandma that she had Alzheimer's so bad that she forgot shit from 10 seconds before.
Yeah, I've seen that.
You know, all my grandparents, you know, my dad's dad was on dialysis for a lot of his life. He ended up passing away he fell and hit his head and never came back. My mom's dad, he passed away when I was like 4 years old from lung cancer. My mom's mom died in a car accident. She didn't have any ailments or nothing. She just, got in a car accident, and she shouldn't have moved because she had internal bleeding so bad, and they didn't realize it until they got her to the hospital, and then it was too late. So, I mean, they all went in their late 60s to early 70s. My dad was 63. My mom was 59. She had a heart attack. So it just makes me wonder how early and of what I'm going to go from.
Well, I thought the same thing, and there's always a thought in the back of your mind, you go into remission, then next thing you know, there's like, which they've never even seen with my kind of cancer. There's one lady in a book that has ever lived out the rest of her life from that particular cancer. But they said that's physically impossible. Well, the surgeon told me, well, 2 years later, how long I got? 6 months. You told me that 2 years ago. Then I saw him about 6 months ago, passed it to the hall. I said, hey, doc, I said, how long I got now? He goes, I ain't saying nothing on you, dude. He goes, you shouldn't even be here. I said, I told you I wouldn't die from this. Yeah, I'm glad you like it, bro. Thank you.
Yeah. When I was sick, when I was 14, I was in Rochester, Mayo, here in Minnesota, in the pediatrics ward. And I remember it like it was yesterday, having their head pediatrician tell me that he was surprised I was actually still alive in front of my father, who immediately got irate, pissed about it. Because it's like, how can you say that to a 14-year-old kid?
Right.
And he told me that he had 3 other patients that had the same thing that I did, and those other 3 had it worse than I did. I was like, oh, but you're telling me that I'm lucky that I'm still alive, or that you can't believe that I still am. Because I was about 170 pounds. And within 3 months of getting sick, I was down to 105. And it's an autoimmune disease. It's basically my immune system was trying to kill me. And I was sick for about 8 months. And probably the worst fucking thing that ever happened to me in my life. But at the same time, there's things in my life that I'm a little bit more immune to than some others in this day and age.
Well, I mean, the good thing is, you came on the other side of it, and you're still here. So, it always sucks losing people, or especially young kids. That's what broke my heart the most is sometimes I would accidentally have to bypass the children's floor. And when you see a little kid pushing a chemo around,
yeah,
man, that gets you. So one thing I'm going to do is I'm looking for a charity that don't line their pockets for money, that actually helps people with cancer.
It's hard to find those.
I'm probably just going to give it to St. Jude's, but I'm going to do a portion of every sale for 6 months to St. Jude's. Then the other 6 months, I'm going to do a portion of every sale to autism.
Okay, that nice.
Yeah, I mean, my son was diagnosed with level 2 autism.
Okay.
He's smart. He's smart as a tack. Apparently, he was on the same spectrum as Elon Musk. I said, "Well, make me a bunch of money, dude." You know. So, but I mean, he's extremely intelligent. He's funny. He was just delayed on a speech, but now he's just. He should be on that show Jackass, because he does stuff about gives me a heart attack. I was like, how the hell did you get up there? Then he launches out of it and does stupid stuff, you know. But
that's just a little boy at that age, period.
I thought I was nuts at that age. I don't really, you know, but he's something else. He's funny. But so I want to do the like he goes to ABA therapy from like 8:30 in the morning to 4 o'clock, and some of those schools range from 60,000 to 250,000 a year.
Holy fuck!
And so I would like to probably put that into a fund, like each donation that we do every year, try to build it up to help maybe a family that couldn't get in there, or something to help their child. So that's really important to me. I really want to give back to the communities on especially cancer and autism.
Very admirable of you. I mean, it's one of those things where it's coming from somebody that lived it, and not somebody that's looking at attention grabbing kind of shit. You know what I mean?
No. Like he broke out of his bedroom playing. I mean, we got a lock on certain doors, but he knows how to get past them, because they go over the doorknobs, where he's so smart, he'll flip them off and unlock the door and walk out and go run. But I figured he'd be in there watching TV, but he figured his way to bust out and come out here and hang out. So I was like, all right.
No, he knows where Dad's at, so he's got to come hang with you.
Yeah, he's like, man, why you ain't hang out with me much, you know, since I got home. And I was like, so I was preparing for this. I did take a nap because I got up at like 6 o'clock in the morning by an accident. And sometimes I get up that early, sometimes I don't. It just depends on the night before. But this was really important to me, so I wanted to prepare for it. And, you know, but no, as far as a giving, I've always gave. Even with my tattoo business, I donated to St. Jude's, you know. We didn't know that he was diagnosed till he was about 2.5. So they got on top of it really quick. We put him in ABA therapy school, and every morning he looks forward to getting up. He's going to the door, and it's like, let's get out of here. I'm going to go have fun with my friends, you know?
Yeah.
And plus, he's learned a lot, and he's doing good. So I definitely want to. I want to help all autism families. You know, it's going to be hard to balance it out. So I figured I'll have a label on the back of the corner of every, you know, what part of the month is, you know, a cancer ribbon. It won't be just from the cancer I had, but all cancers.
Right. Yeah.
I'll probably just give it to St. Jude's, because I tell you, man, some people, you know, I'm sitting there thinking when I first got it, hey, man, I deserve this. You know, I did some bad stuff. You know, right. I get it. But when you see a kid and you're like, wow, man. So I'm just going to donate it to St. Jude's, because they use the money. They don't line the pockets, because they really need the donation.
Right.
And as far as the autism thing, I've researched it a lot. People, like, if you use it on a national level, they never see that money. It's sad to say.
Right.
But there's one here in North Carolina that uses the money to help put kids in ABA therapy and get them therapies that people that can't afford it. And that's 100% legit. I found that out. Even American Cancer Association, which I thought they were good, but that's another thing that they never get their money. You know, people with cancer.
There's a lot of charities out there that, if it's a charity, it shouldn't have a CEO and all this chain of command here that gets a paycheck. It's
that was my thoughts exactly. So, I mean, if you just send the money straight to St. Jude's every month of what you make, you keep track of it, you know, take some chunkier proceeds and just send it out. Of course, I will show everybody that the check being writ, mailed, and hopefully I could get the company to scale big enough down the road where I could deliver them a nice, healthy check. You know, that'd be cool.
Yeah, that'd be the feeling that you'll get from being able to do that. Yeah, I could see it.
Yeah. So that was two subjects that was important to me, and so I'm definitely going to do that. It's not to try to get sales or anything like that. It was just something that I donated every year at the end of the year to St. Jude's already. So I just thought I would implicate it into my beard company.
Right.
You know, so you know, over time, I hope I get a little bit better on camera. I've never done this before. You know, I mean, I've been on TV once, twice. Well, actually, I was on the History Channel. I've been on the TLC channel for tattooing. But that was pretty easy because I was in my element at the tattoo convention, and it was just like,
yeah, you weren't even paying attention to it being TV.
Right. And I was just telling them, hey, you know, check this out. This is what I've done today, you know. The lady was standing there with her awards and stuff. And it's like, well, how many awards you got? And I was like, I lost count at 300 and something, you know. So I don't even know.
So you're saying you're a pretty good tattoo artist?
I can hold my own. There's some amazing tattoo artists out there today, but they don't got no morals, man. You know, I was taught morals, you know, about respecting other people's space, studios. Now kids will open up on you. They don't care that you paved the way for them anymore. They don't have no respect, you know. I mean, some of them are amazing, beautiful pictures, but that's all they are. You know, they ain't got no experience, no soul behind it, you know. And I think that you really got to pay your dues for a long time and travel and to get that experience to be able to translate it to skin, you know.
Spoken like a true artist.
I mean, it's just facts, bro. I mean,
throughout your career, did you tattoo any like famous people or any celebrities or anything like that?
Yeah. At my studio at one time was up by the university area here. There was changed names so many times. Back then it was called Blockbuster Pavilion. It was the biggest show arena for bigger concerts in the Charlotte area. A guy came in one day and I just had a cancellation. He wanted to get a skull on his arm, and I was like, so I was tattooing. I drew it up real quick on his arm. I'm like, all right, cool. I do a lot of skulls. I'll just freehand this, you know. I sketched it out with a pen. He goes, yeah, it's badass, cool. I was tattooing him. I said, man, you look familiar. He saw me in a band. I said, oh, yeah, you in a local band or something? I said, who you play for? He goes, well, I play for Stain. You know, my name's Aaron Lewis. You know, I was like, I thought I knew you. So I've tattooed him a couple times after that. You know, I tattooed, I did a lot of work. Sorry about that.
No problem.
I did a lot of work on David Vincent from Morbid Angel.
Wow.
He was a good friend of mine. Still is. I mean, he moved to Florida. He lived in Charlotte for years, you know.
That's a band that I haven't listened to in years.
Yeah, I sleeved him out in the '90s, and his wife from Jenna Tortures, I've worked on her a good bit. A lot of sports players, I didn't even know who they were till afterwards.
Right.
I was tattooing these guys, and they were in Charlotte. They just came home, and I found out. I said, "Well, what do you all do?" And because he saw the Jack Daniels tattoo I had on my leg when I was a drinker. I was in a pair of shorts. And he said, "You like Jack Daniels?" Yeah. He goes, "Man," he goes, "I do commercials for him. They give me a case of this." So he goes out to this big old SUV and brings out. So here, you can have it. I was like, "Well, what do you do?" He goes, "Oh man, we play for the Minnesota Vikings." I was like, "Oh, well, cool." I was like, "Well, if I knew that, I would have charged you more." And they laughed, So we had to. Then I tattooed some of the Carolina Panthers players, mostly musicians, some sports. I've tattooed a lot of musicians. Some of them, yeah, to me, I think they're garbage. But I mean, but that's not my opinion. I treated them, professional. I tattooed Brett Michaels of Poison one time.
Oh, nice.
I was like, okay, cool. And I knew who they were when they came in, but I mean, really, they were just whatever. I've tattooed Tommy Lee of Motley Crue one time, another poser. I tattooed his neck. He was a jerk.
I've heard many stories about the Motley Crue guys.
Now Nikki Sixx was tattooed in my studio from one of my artists. They were in town, and I didn't know it till after I walked by a station. I looked, and I'm sitting there thinking, want to be a poser, but I said, but we'll take his money,
Right.
But, money. We were polite to him and everything, and treated him like everybody else. I mean, business is business.
That's very true.
But a lot of times, man, I end up finding out that I was tattooing like pretty major people after they were in the middle of it or right after it was done.
Yeah.
A friend of mine did tattoo Mel Gibson about 20 years ago. And I was like, "You tattooed Mel Gibson?" I said, "Well, everybody knows who he is,
Yeah.
Goes, yeah. And but they covered up a lot of movies and they showed it to me, and it was just lines, all the way around his neck. I mean, well, like as a necklace. I was like, why would he get that? So.
Well, there's a lot of tattoos that if you look at it, you're like, why would you get that? But
I mean, I don't know. Maybe it had a significant importance to him, but who knows? But I mean, it would have been cool to tattoo Mel Gibson or something,
Yeah.
But I mean, my niche is the musicians. They know me. I know them, a lot of them. And once you tattoo one, they bring you more,
Yep. That's the best. That is probably one of the better things about being a tattoo artist, and especially if you tattoo somebody that's of higher up in the civil chain, I guess you could say, is if you're good and they like your work, they're going to bring more of their friends to see you.
Yeah, they did. I've tattooed. I'll tell you a funny story. I got a phone call because I tattooed one of their roadies back in the day. It was in mid-'90s. And somehow he got my number. I think, because I told the roadie, anytime you're in town, if you need to try to get an appointment, just call me. And he just told me he worked for a band. I got a call about 3:00 in the morning, woke me up, and I was like, yeah, and he goes, is this Shade? I'm like, yeah, who's this? He goes, well, this is Janie Lane. I was like, well, who in the hell is that? And he goes, well, I'm the lead singer from Warrant. I just hung up, and he called back. And I'm like, dude, go prank somebody else, man. And I said, Warrant sucks, Then he's like, you think we suck that bad? And I'm like, who is this? He goes, man, I told you. I said, well, what can I do for you? You know, and I thought it was still a joke.
Right. Yeah. So you're going to play along now.
And I was like, he goes, well, man, how much would you charge us to just to go on our tour bus, tattoo us all day long, and be gone for this whole tour and just tattoo us? We'll pay all your expenses. So as a joke, I said $5,000 a day, all expenses paid, food, lodging, whatever. He goes, what's your address? So I gave it to him. So I go to back to bed, and they pull up in front of my house. And I was like, I was like, okay, well, let me get dressed, guys, you know.
Yeah, let me get my shit together, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah, so we got to stop by the shop, you know. So we did that. And so I tattooed those guys, and those dudes, for a crappy hair band, I mean, those dudes had problems. I mean, I'm like, I mean, they're sitting there doing blow, chugging down, I mean, fists of whiskey, one after another while I'm tattooing them. And I'm like, dude, you got to sit still, you know?
Yeah, I can't do my work if you don't sit still.
You know? And he's like, man, here, you want some? I said, man, you don't want me jacked up on that crap tattooing you. I said, I don't know what you'll get, you know?
Yeah, you might be a little pissed off later.
I said, man, I said, have you ever tattooed in the back of a driving bus? I said, it was already hard, but I mean, it was fun at the same time, you know, because they were just a bunch of idiots at that time. Then I tattooed his wife, and at that time, she was a looker. She was a nice lady. Then I cut the tour short. I'm like, look, dude, this is just too much for me. You guys wake me up at 4 o'clock in the morning, blasted out on blow and knows what else, and want tattooed. I'm like, but they still paid me, and you know, sent me a flight home, and it was cool. And they still stayed in touch, come by my studio once in a while when they played around town and got a tattoo. Then their music stopped. But he's like, here, man, check this out. It's something new. And I'd take it and thanks, but I'd just throw it off later, you know, never even listen to it. Because I hated their music, you know.
Right. Yeah.
And, but I mean, I was going to be a jerk and tell him that. But I did tell him that night on the phone. And he asked me later when I was tattooing him, he goes, you think my stuff really sucks? I'm like, no, man, I just told you that because I thought you were pranking me, dude. You know, said, that's great. You know,
I'm dying inside saying this, but you're paying me to be here. So,
well, that's what I was thinking. I'm getting paid $5,000 a day. And in the 90s, that was great money, you know?
Yeah, it was a lot of money in the 90s.
You know, it's like, yeah. And they bought whatever I wanted. And, you know, I was like, you know, this is cool. But after a while, it just it sucked. Yeah. I couldn't wait to get back home. And, but I tell you, a cool dude, man, is that I could really relate to, even though if I didn't care for his music, was Aaron Lewis. Because when I came back and tattooed him again, he came to my shop in West Virginia because he called me up because I've had the same number since cell phones came out. And he was like, hey, man, where you at? I said, well, I'm in West Virginia. He goes, man, I got to go through there tomorrow. I was like, well, I'll move a client, you know.
Right.
But, man, that dude is cool. I mean, I took him to show him the farm. He goes, man, I want to go hunting with you, you know. And he goes, yeah, let's kill some shit, you know. I was like, all right, you know. He was pretty cool, you know.
Yeah, sometimes you can't judge a book by the cover kind of thing, you know.
Oh, no, man. He was cool. He was all about hunting, fishing, you know, having a good time, you know. He was pretty cool. He liked living off the land. He was really in tune with nature. So when I got that side of him, I was like, all right, you know, that's pretty cool.
All right, I can handle this. This is good stuff.
Yeah. So we didn't even talk about music, you know. Yeah. Except for the first time. Afterwards, we just had conversations. And when I found out he was really into nature and about what he put into his body, and I'm like, man, I'm terrible on my body, dude, you know?
Yeah.
And, but now I try to watch, you know, what I eat, you know, like if I'm out and with friends, you know, I'll eat a little crappy, then I'll clean it out because after going through cancer, you gotta,
Yeah, I bet.
wisely. But I had a great time at Dan's. Unfortunately, we ate wings one night, and we ate a burger one night, and they never got him his gluten-free buns. And I was like, oh, man, it sucks. So I was like, man, you can order them all gluten-free. I'd have ate it,
Yeah.
And I felt bad for him. But, when you meet Dan in real life, his beard is freakishly awesome on the side. I was looking at it, and I was like, I'm sitting there thinking, man, I don't want this dude to see my beard, I mean, I was like, my gosh, because they don't do it justice on camera,
Yeah.
especially from the side. I mean, I was just like, wow, man, that looks like just like long flowing hair on the side, And it was pretty amazing. But I mean, him and Sam and their kids were so well behaved, just amazing people. And she fixed me a great cup of coffee, and I'm like, daggone, man, that crap is good. And I'm like, what is this? And she's told me about this Nespresso machine. I said, I got a Craig. And I was like, it's kind of sucks, And so when I got back home, there was a Nespresso machine on my porch. And so I was like, let me pay for it, But just amazing people, amazing family. I mean, just great people, man.
Yeah, that's the vibe I get. I know everybody, there's a lot of people that shit talk him and all that stuff, but I've always said whatever my interaction with people is how I judge people.
Same.
So, if I hear people, talk shit about somebody and I've never talked to that person or had a lot of time to kind of, I'm an observer. So if I sit on the sideline a lot, and if I see how you conduct yourself and, how you interact with other people, and if I think you're a piece of shit, then I think you're a piece of shit. But it's how I view it. I don't go by what other people tell me.
Yeah, man, you really can't, because Dan in real life is he is a great dude. Him, Sam, his kids are wonderful. I had a great weekend again. I can't wait for him to come down. I'm going to take him out to this place that he can just eat. 99, I think it's 98.9% of everything is gluten free. But if he's a carnivore, he's going to love this place. Yeah. But he eats meat, so.
Yeah. What's going on, Wiley? Nice to see you. I'm a glutton for punishment.
Get it? Did he say he got it, or he was thinking about getting it?
I was going to get an espresso, but I decided to get a more complicated espresso machine because he's a glutton for punishment.
These espresso machines are very close to Starbucks sucks, okay? We got this coffee shop that's owned by these bearded guys in my town. They're not there all the time, but they got great coffee. But I would put it just a slight step below that. I mean, it's almost like you got out of a coffee shop. It's good. So if you like coffee, I drink my water intake a day, then I could drink 5 cups of this crazy strong espresso, make you feel wired and go pass out. So,
see, and I'm not a coffee drinker. I haven't drank coffee in shit at least 10 years.
Dude, I told the oncologist when he was telling me all the things I needed to quit, quit dipping, quit this, quit. I said, man, you tell me to quit a lot of shit, but my coffee is staying, I was like, it ain't leaving. But she's like, no, coffee's fine in moderation. I said, moderation? I mean, at that time, I had a coffee pot. I said, man, I drink the whole pot every morning just to get started,
Just so I can get my shit together in the morning.
Oh, yeah. I said, man, if you're a tattoo artist, you tattoo late, come home and don't get that much sleep because you draw, then you go to sleep and you get up. You need a pot of coffee to keep you going, But that's probably why tattoo artists don't live that long. I mean, there's only one tattoo artist that's ever made it to their 90s in the history of tattooing.
Did not know that.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's probably the late. I mean, hours, the lack of sleep, and of course, if you ever been to a tattoo convention, some of them pretty hard too. So
I believe that.
yeah, and I've had my fair share of that in my day, you know. But man, the older I got, I was like, man, I don't want nothing to do with that, you know, after the cancer and stuff. But even before, I'd keep it. But I'm like, man, I'm getting too old for this shit, you know. I don't just wake up and recover that easy.
Yeah, that's why I don't even really drink all that much anymore. I'll maybe have a
I
beer or
don't drink
two.
it all, bro, anymore. I mean, maybe I might have one Guinness every 6 months. You know,
Well,
if I'm eating at the pub that serves Irish food, the alcohol volume on that is so low, and it's full of vitamins anyway. A lot of people don't even realize that, so it's really not that bad for you.
right. Yeah, I've heard Guinness has actually got some really good shit for you, and actually beer in general. One or two of them is actually kind of good for you the antioxidants that's in it and everything. It's just, once you have one or two beers, you don't ever fucking stop.
I used to be that way. Now I could drink one, two, and walk away and don't touch another one for 6 months. You know,
Yep.
no big deal.
I look at it. I have a sister that has a hard time with it, but like for me, it was I can have one or two beers and all right, I'm good. I don't need any more. Mostly for me, it's because I know if I have more, like if I were to have a 6-pack, I would have a fucking hangover for the next 3 days and feel like shit. And I don't want to do that.
Well, I'm from West Virginia, so like here in the South, everybody's got hot sauce on the table. It's just a common thing.
It's just
Well,
part of it.
right. Well, like in the Appalachian part of West Virginia, you got your hot sauce and everybody's got a bottle of moonshine in the fridge or on the daggone table. It's just a common thing. And my dad moonshine for a while, then, part of the family. Then I was like, then he got out of it, because he don't drink it. Then my stepmom once in a while, she'd be like, well, I wouldn't mind having some moonshine. So she'd get the brandy kind and drink that. So everybody was up there. And it's not illegal to make in West Virginia. Even the cops drink it. So they're just like, they don't really care as long as you don't get caught selling too much. You can make all you want.
I think this is. He saw an ad for the tattoo convention in Maine.
I had that set up, but I decided I was supposed to went to Flint. I was supposed to have been in one at every week. I called them all off. I said I was going to do Flint in August, I think it was, and in Maine, but I canceled them because right now all I do is get everything ready for this company. It was a bigger undertaking than I thought. I was like, it won't be that hard. Yeah. Well, I mean, it's not the hardest thing I've ever done, but I mean, it's some work for sure. I mean, because I said I want it to be perfect, and my buddy said there ain't nothing perfect. I was like, well, I want it the closest perfect as possible,
Right. And they're kind of giving you crap about not sleeping.
That's true. I don't a lot. Then because I'm constantly working. I mean, I think Chris has messaged me at like, I've seen him on at 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning, and I'd be in there working, and he'd come up, or I'd be scrolling through something, and people do that. Like, you're up. Well, I'm get ready to go to bed. Hopefully within the next hour. Then I'll be back up at 6 and be like, did you go to bed? Yeah, a few hours.
Yeah, I slept for a couple hours, maybe an hour. I mean,
if I get everything going and flowing, then I'll try to get a good night's sleep again. Now the drive to go to Dan's, if you could physically drive 10 and a half hours without stopping and getting gas, it's only 10 and a half hours. But it took me 16 because I was stuck on West Virginia Turnpike. Then my dad called, said it was on the news. They closed it down. People were going to be stuck there. I said, bullshit. And I talked to him on the phone, and I was like, well, I know this area a little bit in this area. So I got off on where he's put on the emergency side to berm and rode that thing for 4.5 miles, found an exit, got on it, and drove the back roads all the way through West Virginia. I never hit an interstate in Ohio because of that route. But those people stayed there for 2 days, stuck. And and because there was a massive pileup, an oil tanker was spilled over, then another diesel tanker was spilled over. So they had to get all that cleaned up before they could let anybody leave. And I was like, as long as no emergency vehicle finds me trying to get by me, But I was going hammer down and got off and drove the back roads. And I got there. I left at 11 that morning, and I got there at got in my hotel room about 5:30 in the morning. And I was like, then I woke up and it was like a little after 1. I looked at my daggone Instagram, and Dan messaged me. I was like, oh shit. I said, dude, you don't even realize. He knew that. I sent him pictures and I told him I got closed down, but I said, I'll get there. Don't worry.
Right. I'll get there. Just give me some time.
Yeah. And, but that wore me out, sitting, because I sit for 3.5 hours before I found out. My dad called and said, man, they shut that down. You ain't going nowhere. And I said, yeah, bullshit. I told my dad what I'll do. He goes, I'll stay on the phone with you and make sure you don't get pulled over, I'll call somebody,
Right.
And I got by it. Once I got off on that off ramp, man, I had an idea where I was from where I was a kid, because I went all over the state. So I just hit the GPS on, and some of it didn't even work where I was at, but I just kept traveling it to try to get back to the interstate. And I hit it at the tip of West Virginia, then it back off to the back roads all through Ohio. Never used the interstate. I was so pissed. I was like, of all my luck, I didn't get to use an interstate till I got into Michigan. Then Dan told me their roads sucked. Then I was like, well, it couldn't be worse than West Virginia. I said, my God. I felt like a milkshake on the inside. Man, that shit beat the shit out of me. I said, those interstates are terrible,
Minnesota roads are very fucking horrible too. And it's funny because you can tell because I live right on the border with Iowa.
Yeah.
And my brother actually lives in Iowa, and we have some fields down there that we go to. But if you're taking one of the highways, when it changes from Minnesota to Iowa, you can tell the difference because Iowa takes way better care of their roads than Minnesota does. You just tell, and then it's just smooth sailing from that when you get into Iowa.
I've only been to Minneapolis at the tattoo convention there. I've never went anywhere else inside of the state of Minnesota. So I hear it's a beautiful state in a lot of places.
Up north is
yeah,
yeah. Down here in the southern part, it's all flat farmland.
Mm-hmm.
But if you go up north of the cities and stuff, where it's basically all forest, yeah.
But after we get open, I'm gonna go back up to Michigan. Hopefully, I'm gonna try to do it this summer. Because I'll get to finish up the dance. Then we're going to a town called Frankenmuth up there. I saw it on a TV channel, and I was like, man, I like German food. And this whole town looks like a little German town. I asked Dan about it. It was only an hour from his house.
No.
I was like, well, I got to check that out. So we're going to try to do that this summer.
There you go.
What I'm trying to do is make enough products except for the butter. I want to try to keep it pretty fresh, you know, but still make enough where I could keep up on it. I don't want to ever say sold out because then people got to wait. And,
Yeah.
you know, some people get aggravated about that. You know, some are cool, but I just don't want to run into that problem.
Right. Yeah. If you can avoid it, why not? Because, yeah, some people are just shit bags.
Yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, but, you know, I just don't want to run into that problem. And, you know, I'm going to give free samples of another scent in every order. I'm not going to sell them. I'm just going to give them away when somebody orders something. I'll throw another sample in there. That way they can check it out. And if they like it, think it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the little samples, any little thing that is included in orders is from handwritten notes to stickers and stuff like that. When little samples are, you know, added in, it's those little touches make you feel like a appreciated customer.
Well, I think everybody, I've always had that outlook on, and any kind of business that I've owned is every customer. I mean, without them, you don't got nothing.
Yeah.
So you might as well just kill them with kindness and the best customer service. I've ran all my studios that way. Still do today. I still watch on film, you know, when I'm not working, seeing and making sure they're keeping up to my standards. But I usually don't have to worry about them. I got a good crew at my studio. But same with the company. I just want to make sure that everybody feels like, I mean, there's a lot of great companies out there, you know, so you just gotta. I believe they're drams, you know. They're about that. It's not quite. It's not the smallest ones that I've seen. I could tell you that. You know, you'll get probably 4 or 5 uses out of it. I'm sure. You know.
Okay.
I mean, I've seen some of them are real thin, and you know, you might use it once.
It's always appreciated, Carrie. I do enjoy it. Fucking Carrie. Oh yeah. Well, we are coming up on the 2-hour mark.
Well, I appreciate you having me, brother. Yeah.
Yes. It was good to get to know you. I know. When do you plan on launching? When do you have an ETA for it?
Well, if my grandma doesn't pass away, I'm hoping for 2 weeks. If she does, it'll be the 1st of July.
Okay. All right. Well, then we kind of have a timeline. Are you do you have a kind of launch like that you think you're going to do? Or are you going to do it like with Dan, or are you going to do your own thing? Or
Well, that's really up to Dan. I'm going to make a consult call with Dan as soon as I get back, seeing my grandma. And, you know, of course, I'm going to send him all the scented stuff to make sure he digs that. He wanted unscented when I sent it to him, so I did that. And I would love to launch on Dan's channel, but I mean, at the end of the day, that's up to Dan, you know.
right. Okay.
But if not, that's cool. You know, hopefully I'll earn his respect later, and you know, and get it. You know, I know that he's really big on customer service, good product, something that he craves. But everybody's so different, and I know that he's going to not like some of my scents, and that's cool. But I know that other people want darker scents. You know. But I've definitely kept him in mind in the wheelhouse of stuff that he liked. You know, me, I like woodsy scents, darker scents. I like.
Yes.
So I'm trying to please both sides of the spectrum. Everybody's got different taste, and a lot of people like cologne, so I got those in line too.
Yep. See, like stuff that he likes, like the fresh, minty, citrusy stuff, I'm not the biggest fan of.
I like citrus. So, I'm not a fan of mint. I don't like peppermint at all, you know. So
No.
a lot of people love it. I'm not knocking them. That's cool. I mean, if everybody liked chocolate, they wouldn't make vanilla. My dad's always told me that since I was a kid. So I try to make enough to please everybody.
Right. But at the end of the day, you still got to be confident in what you're putting out and liking what you're putting out. You know, because if you try to put out stuff just to make other people happy, at some point you're gonna, at least if it were in my opinion, you know, if it's I'm only putting it out because somebody might like it.
I love citrus, but a lot of people love peppermint. And if I don't like it, I'll make it to where I like it. Even if I be like, I'm not a peppermint fan, I'm like, yeah, no, I could see me wearing that, you know.
Right. Okay.
I'm not going to do it just for other people, but I still take in mind of what people's tastes are like. So I try to round it to where I can like it as well, you know.
Right.
So I got to have my own stamp on it.
Yeah. Very true.
Yeah, I'm not going to be a copycat. I mean, so many people have done so many different things. So I'm going to try to think out of the box the best that I can, you know. Oh, right. I've done that, you know. It's extremely hard because you don't want to feel like that you're copying somebody else or somebody else has done something amazing, and you don't want to be the same.
But at the same time, with how much there is out there, there's going to be some overlap, whether you like it or not.
Right.
You know, and it could be something where you take a whiff of it in the scent wise. I mean, we all know scents are subjective. What somebody gets from something, somebody else gets different.
Right. And, yeah, I've noticed it.
You know, I could smell something and be like, oh, I know this scent. I have one that's kind of like it from this company or whatever. And somebody else is like, it doesn't smell anything like that. I don't know what the fuck you're talking about.
Right. So, well, Gary did give me an old scent from Chesapeake since I lived in North Carolina, and West Y had sun drop, so I couldn't pick that up because that'd be since he's right here in North Carolina. But he did give me his old Cheerwine recipe from Chesapeake, and I thought that was cool of him because that's a North Carolina staple.
Right.
And, you know, and I was grateful for that. Yeah. And so he's shot me with ideas, you know, for scents, and I asked him, well, what do you think of this? You know, so we bounced off of things. I bounced off stuff off of Dan, other companies that I like, and you know, everybody has been cool. Some people shot me down, and I respect that. I mean, because I mean, I guess when I first wanted to get into it, I didn't go back in and ask the right questions. You know, after I look back and thought of it, I'm like, hey man, can you help me out with some ratios on to make some cool stuff? Well, no. Okay, cool. Yeah.
All right. Thanks.
I get that, you know. But man, I really appreciate you having me on. It was an honor. Thank you.
No problem, man. I wanted to take time to get to know you from the conversations we have had, regardless of it being beard related or whatever else. I've enjoyed talking to you, and I wanted to get to know you more and maybe help some other people get to know you too, since you're going to be having a company. So people,
I won't go nowhere. That's for sure. I'm in it to stay. So I'm confident in this, and I don't think this is arrogance. It's just confidence. No. I'll be a household name in this eventually, you know.
That's that. Having the confidence in that alone, you know, good for you, man.
Yeah. I mean, I put a lot of research in this, man, and I'm in it. You know, I told Dan I'm not going nowhere. I mean, I still got tattooing, but I'm not going to tattoo anymore. I found new love in this. So, but I really appreciate the hospitality. Thank you.
Yeah.
And I want to thank Gary, Chris, Dancy, everybody else that's in the chat. Thank you all. I can't see you all, just who pops up on the thing, but thank you for being here. Thank you for having me, and I'll send you out some stuff. I got your address.
I told you don't got to do that, but
No, man, I told you I would. I'm a man of my word, so I'll send it out.
I appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks,
I will gladly, give you some feedback on how I feel about it.
Yeah. Tell me if you like it or tell me if you hate it. Yeah. So
I will.
my heart. Yeah, I know you will. That's what I want. I don't want nobody to be like, no, it's good if they didn't like it.
Oh,
God bless you, brother. Thank you.
With that being said, thank everybody for coming out and hanging out with us tonight on a Friday night. I don't have nothing. I live a pretty boring life. So, Shade, I appreciate you.
I appreciate you, bro. Thank you.
Until the next episode of the Longhouse. Thanks, everybody.
Thank y'all.